Hello there, people of the internet. I should probably make this video. Not long ago, I made a video talking about why 9mm is gonna one day die. And whenever I'm trying to explain something in 60 seconds, because it was a short, I can't exactly talk about everything that I'd like to talk about in that video. So I talked about how people once thought that 45 ACP wouldn't die, and nowadays it's been completely overshadowed with 9mm popularity. And there will be a day where 9mm also dies. And whenever it comes to me talking about why 9mm will die, I'm not saying that it's not going to no longer be capable. I'm saying that something else is going to come out that's going to gain popularity traction and not necessarily completely replace the 9mm, but we're going to see it start to spread in popularity, and we're going to start to see it overshadow 9mm eventually over time. Kind of like how in the United States, 45 ACP was wholeheartedly dominant in like the 1970s, 1980s, and then 9mm started to take over. It started to kind of ease its way onto the market with military adoption of the M9, and the 9mm just kind of grew and grew and grew and grew and grew in the United States market. And nowadays, getting 45 ACP is significantly less common than 9mm if we're talking about somebody getting a handgun just specifically for whatever purposes it is that they're looking to get a handgun for. But whenever I talk about something else one day coming up that is going to replace 9mm, I get a lot of people that tell me absolutely not. Like, actually, I just got a comment. He said, I'm not convinced 9mm will ever go away. And I hate to tell you, but there's literally a 100% chance that it's going to go away one day. Like, it's literally inevitable. Might not be within our lifetime. Might not be within the next lifetime. But one day, something is going to happen to where people are going to move away from 9mm, whether or not that is the complete extinction of mankind, or whether or not that is the complete adoption of a new cartridge, or maybe even a different style of weapon altogether. Maybe in the next 50 years, we're going to see, I don't know, laser guns get so practical, so affordable, and so advanced to the point to where they completely outclass, like, projectile throwing technology. We don't know. Maybe rail guns are going to be on everybody's hips in the next 30 years. There's no way to tell. There's literally no way to know what's going to happen. There have been a lot of people that have told me that firearms technology hasn't really advanced since smokeless powder was made. French made smokeless powder in 1886, and as a result, firearms technology, even to this day, has not changed, simply because we're still using smokeless powder cartridges. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, bullshit. I'm just gonna full on say bullshit right now. As a matter of fact, how about we go out and use an 1886 Lebel, like what I got right here, with original style 1886 Lebel ammunition, and then I'll take out a 300 Win Mag with some Hornady SSX 180 grain bullets, and we're gonna see which is more effective on target. Because I'm telling you right now, back in the day, whenever this right here was made, they didn't have Hornady SSX bullets, and that's gonna be far more effective on the target. Nowadays, we have so many different options for a cartridge. I get that it's still a brass case with smokeless powder inside of it, but guess what? There's a reason why the 30-06, which is significantly larger than, say, the 308, the 308 is not much less powerful than 30-06. Like, it's not enough of a difference to make a difference, in quoting Paul Harrell. And that's just because the kinds of powder that are normally found in 30-06, it's not great, especially if we're talking about the time period where 30-06 came out. Like, whenever 30-06 came out, it was actually less impressive than that of modern commercial 308. So we have seen a massive, massive difference in terms of firearms technology. I get we're still using smokeless powder to send bullets, but we've still seen a massive, massive difference in terms of firearms technology. The first smokeless powder round commercially available in the United States was the 30-30. And the 30-30 originally, I think it was like a 200 or 220 grain soft point round. And it had to be soft point because they were using a 2-fed magazine. We have moved way, way beyond that in terms of firearms technology. So I'm calling bullshit right now. Firearms technology has advanced, and it has advanced a lot. Like, for example, way back in the day, whenever we were rocking, this is actually a really good example, whenever we were rocking the M1 Garand with 30-06, even to this day, this is still a very capable rifle and whatnot. But ammunition technology has advanced dramatically beyond the time period of what this rifle is capable in. I think these have a 24-inch barrel, if memory serves me correctly. And that was done because the powders used in 30-06 at the time required a really long barrel in order to achieve the velocities that was necessary because they were using a slow-burning powder. Now, whenever we look at a modern cartridge, like the new technology coming out, we look at the 277 Sig Fury, along with those bimetal cases where it's the brass case with the steel head on the back. This way they can achieve really, really, really high pressures. We're talking like 80,000 psi. So we can get really, really high velocities from really, really short barrels, and something like that would have been completely unheard of way back in the day. And there's a reason why 30-06 is not being used by the United States nowadays, because bullet technology has changed. And one day, bullet technology for handguns will change significantly enough for it to matter in terms of moving on from 9mm to whatever new cartridge it is that is going to come out. And one of the problems that I was having with the video that I had made was people were telling me there's nothing on the current market that is going to replace 9mm. And I'm like, yeah, we're not talking about the current market. Or they'll talk about how I was talking about cartridges that 9mm replaced. And I'm like, yes, and one day something is going to come out that is going to replace 9mm. I don't know if it's going to be some kind of like variation of the cartridge to where we have significantly higher pressures and send a projectile at significantly faster velocities. I think that we're going to see one day a bottleneck cartridge come out onto the market that is going to be dramatically better than 9mm to the point to where it is worth the conversion. Like we see bottleneck cartridges out there right now, like the 357 Sig or something like that. That's a great little cartridge, don't get me wrong, but it's not great enough to warrant the price and expense of getting the ammunition and the cartridge and the firearms and whatnot that go along with it. And there's just less application out there for it. Not only that, but there's so much 9mm out there. But if NATO were to go out and adopt some kind of better cartridge, and I'm sure that one day they're going to adopt some kind of better cartridge than 9mm, then we might see a significant change in what is popular here in the United States. I doubt that we'll see it within our lifetime, but it is literally inevitable as new technology comes out, you know, in the next 100 years. Who knows what's going to happen? As new technology comes out, something is going to happen that is going to make 9mm completely disappear, because people are going to move on to this new cartridge. And as people move on to whatever new thing comes out, which doesn't always happen with every new thing that comes out, but it does happen, as people move on to this new thing that comes out, which is significantly better than the old thing, that's whenever we start to see the old thing start to die off. Like, actually, here's a really good example. Look at cap and ball revolvers back in the 1860s. Fantastic. They were all over the place. Well, then 1873 came rolling around, and the Colt Single Action Army came out, I think in 4570. Or not 4570, God, that would be insane. I think in 45 long Colts. And those took off by storm because it was a significantly better cartridge design versus using like paper cartridges, or even just pouring powder directly into your chambers of your cap and ball revolver. It was just significantly better to the point to where people started going to that versus just using the old thing, which still worked, by the way. A lot of people will tell me, well, 9mm will still work, so why would people bother going to the new thing? Because the new thing develops to the point of being good enough for people to want to move on to that. And we see several points in history where that happens. Like we see that with the smokeless powder change, going from black powder to smokeless powder. As soon as smokeless powder came out, like within the next 10, 15 years, countries all over the world were adopting it. They didn't care how expensive it was. They didn't care logistically what it cost. They just wanted that new stuff. And whenever you get something that is good enough to make people decide we need that over the old thing, they'll flock to that thing, and it is literally inevitable that that's going to happen at some point. It's the same thing as if we're talking about like any other subject. It is literally inevitable that actually, let's look at the prepper community, the preparedness community. A lot of people call the preppers crazy because they're preparing for worst case scenario, but it is literally inevitable at some point in time we're going to have another massive war in the world, and we actually see that starting to ramp up. Like, we might see that within our lifetimes. We might see that well within the next couple of years. But it is literally inevitable that at some point with humanity's history going forward in time, we are going to see a point in time where we have a massive clash and potentially even like nuclear warheads. It's inevitable that we're all going to one day destroy ourselves. Might not happen within our lifetimes, might not happen within the next generation or the generation after that. But it is 100% going to happen at some point within time. And that's one of the things that people don't really think about. They look at the very short term, oftentimes just within their own lifespan, or within the next decade, or 2 decades, or insert your choice of how far into the future you look here. And that's just not the reality. I get that some people are probably going to say, well, it's not my lifetime, so why should I care? And that sort of mindset is one of the reasons why the previous generations have messed up this generation so much. So don't think like that. Alright, I think I've said my 2 cents. It's going to happen at some point in the future. It's literally 100% chance of it happening. I don't know how long it's going to take for it to happen, but at some point it will happen. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below is linked to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off. Have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.